Oh boy, we're back. Three Things with JR. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to what will most likely be a somewhat emotional podcast. It could be. It has the potential to go there, is what I'm saying. I've definitely been thinking about this episode for a couple of weeks now, for reasons which will become evident in thing number one. But I don't think I'm going to get all emotional during it, but it could happen. We'll see. Before we go there, though, what's going on with me right now? I am thinking about the solo audition I have coming up this coming Tuesday for the Crozet Community Chorus, in which Kiki and I both sing. As you probably know, I'm not doing musical theater this season or in the summer season. I'm taking time off to be with the band, but I am in a choir. And it's kind of nice to be back singing with a huge group of voices, surrounded by a really good bass section. The best bass section the Crozet Community Chorus has had in the seasons that I've been involved with the chorus. And this season, there are some solos to audition for, and I am planning to audition for one. It's kind of a big solo. I've done a solo at chorus before, but it was kind of an easy one. It was like a Christmas song, and it really wasn't crazy hard. So this one is going to be different. It's from the musical Candide. It is a song written by Leonard Bernstein, the maestro. Bradley Cooper's movie on Netflix. It's by him. This song is a duet, and it's basically a marriage proposal. The song is called Make Our Garden Grow. And for me, it's not about the content of the song or the meaning of the song. It's really about the singing. It's about hitting these notes, hitting them loud, hitting them with confidence, and of course, hitting the right notes. I am a singer. I am not a highly trained singer. I was in chorus in high school for most of my time in high school, and I love singing. I am much better when surrounded by like voices, but I really want to solo, and this would be quite the triumph if I do indeed get this solo. If I don't, it'll be either because I faltered under the pressure, lacked the confidence to belt out these notes. I know I can do them. I've practiced. You might even hear that later in this show. All the notes in this solo are definitely in my range. But even if I nail it, there's probably somebody better than me. And I will be okay with that if somebody else gets the solo, especially if I nail it. Like, if I nail it and there's somebody better than me, that's the best for everybody involved, right? That's certainly the best thing for the audience, is if we've got a couple great soloists that are able to do this, and we get to choose, or our director gets to choose from the best of the best. And if I'm just involved in that conversation, if I can simply make that decision harder for Addie, I will be a happy man. This particular episode of this show drops on Tuesday this coming week, and I will be auditioning at our Crozet Chorus rehearsal Tuesday night. Some of you might even be listening to this show as I am putting it all out there tonight. So wish me luck. Kiki, my girlfriend, will also be auditioning for the female part in this duet. How cool would that be for both of us to get the solos? It's Candide and offering a marriage proposal to Cunegonde. No, I have not seen this particular musical, so I don't fully understand the context and the meaning of all of this, but it's clear that Candide wants to spend the rest of his life making his garden grow with Cunegonde. If Kiki and I were to both get these solos, she's got it, by the way. I've heard her practicing here, and she should get the solo. And if there's somebody better than her, awesome. Just like if there's somebody better than me. But she is trained. She does know the notes and how to hit them, and how to hit them with the right amount of chutzpah, confidence, She doesn't love the whole idea of soloing. She also prefers to be surrounded by her voice part, but I think it would just be super cool if she and I got the solos in this. And as you're thinking about this, that you hopefully you are, and not just listening to this show in the background. If you're thinking about Kiki and I both getting these solos and singing to each other a marriage proposal, some of you might be thinking that would be the perfect time to do something crazy like propose. But I'm here to tell you there is no chance in hell I would want to ruin our relationship by adding legal paperwork to the equation. We are already making our garden grow. No rings, no ceremony, no certificate needed. And that leads us nicely into thing number one. For the past few weeks, my Facebook memories have been popping up memories from 10 years ago, and this makes me pretty happy. Because exactly 10 years ago is when I left my wife. I know this not because I'm really good at remembering dates that happened. I actually have to think about it. I didn't realize it was 10 years ago until I saw these Facebook memories. I don't have it written down on a calendar. I really don't think about it very often. I don't celebrate it. I really just live my new life. And I don't dwell on this part of my past. However, when I started seeing these pictures pop up on Facebook memories from the time period that was basically just like a few months after I left her, I couldn't help. I just couldn't help but think of that time in my life that I made one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. So here's some history for those that may not know. And for those that do know, well, this is what I think about it now. I married her in August of 1994. I left her almost exactly 20 years later, not quite. I left in January of 2014. And that means that I have now been separated/divorced for more than half as long as I was married. I had been very unhappy for at least half of that marriage, and I had been thinking about, maybe even dreaming about, the day that I would leave her. I couldn't do it as soon as I wanted to do it, and there were several reasons for that. The main one was that I just couldn't stand the idea of being away from my kids every day. I could not stomach the idea of not being a daily influence in their lives, even if that means that I wasn't at my best self. Even if I wasn't fully invested in the marriage, I was fully invested in being a father who is there every day to eat dinner, to tuck them into bed, to be a daily part of their lives. And even my unhappily married self was better than missing half of their remaining childhood years. That's the main reason I stuck it out for as long as I did. The other main reason was money and logistics. I just couldn't see a way to make it work. I mean, I didn't know where I could possibly go to live. I didn't know of any free places to live. I certainly didn't have the money to both support myself and keep their household going should I leave. And I wouldn't leave them in the lurch. That's not me either. Also, I just couldn't fathom the idea of dealing with lawyers and judges to determine who gets the visitation on when and custody and all of that stuff. That was simply not something I wanted to deal with. There was a turning point for all of it, though. And before we got to the end, several months before, we had refinanced our house. And in doing so, we had rolled all of our credit card debt into our house payment, and which means our credit card, I can't remember if we had one or two, I think we had two, our credit cards were no balance. And we had a house payment we could afford, and we were better off financially than we had ever been. So I didn't realize it when we refinanced our house, but this put me in a financial position to make it happen. And then something happened that was what you'd call a final straw. And it was around the time when my daughter was 17. She had been 17 for about 3 or 4 months when this event happened. My stepson was off in the military. It was, I didn't have both of the kids to worry about, just my 17-year-old daughter. And when this event happened, it was basically a brick wall for me. It was time. I could not go on in the situation as it was. I immediately moved into the basement where I lived for a couple weeks. I took that time to talk with lawyers. I met with friends. I met with confidants. I met with our human resources director at work, who I consider a friend and mentor. I started talking to all of my friends, my bandmates, about the situation. And, well, that was fortuitous. My good friend Rob Jones offered up his rental house for whatever I could afford. He had been trying to rent it out, had a management company, just couldn't get it rented out. And he saw an opportunity to help and make at least a little bit of money renting out his house. I suddenly felt I had a way out. I could afford to live somewhere else. I could afford to pay my new bills and continue to pay the household bills for my ex for an undetermined period of time. I didn't have an end date for how long that would last, but I knew I could do it long enough to make something work. It would require, of course, using those credit cards that now had a zero balance. And I knew that I would end up maxing them out to get this done. And I did, but it was worth it. She, my ex, insisted when I left that our daughter would continue to live with her. But I felt that even at this point, with Allison as old as she was, 17, I felt she could handle it. I also knew that I simply could not continue in the situation as it was, and that it would indeed be the best thing for both my daughter and me, and even for my ex, if I left. So I did. I remember that day like it was yesterday. My friend Darren took a day off of work, drove down, and helped me move all of my stuff out of our family home and into my new house. We did it all in one day. It was exhausting. So now that's 2 friends that I am forever indebted to for helping to make this possible. In the months after I left, I saw Allison as much as I could. Obviously not every day. It wasn't really possible. And every time I was with her, of course, it was nice to be with her, but I couldn't help think that she needs to know that she doesn't have to live with her mom. She's 17. Legally, in a divorce, it's kind of funky, right? Normally there's courts involved and custody is decided upon and all of that, but I wasn't going down that road. I didn't go to a lawyer. I didn't do any of that stuff. As far as, I went to one and talked to them, but I did not hire a lawyer and go down the legal divorce proceedings at that point. I wasn't even 100% sure that this would be a permanent decision. So I wanted Allison to know that there's no legal reason she couldn't live with me, and that I felt she was old enough to make that decision. And if she wanted to live with her mom, she could. If she wanted to live with me, I would make that happen, which would mean we would both have to stand up to my ex to make that possible. But I did. I did put my foot down, and I did stand up to my ex after leaving her, which was almost as hard as doing the actual leaving itself. So these memories that have been popping up for me on Facebook have been from those first few months after I left. And man, they make me smile. They remind me of the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. And then the fact that I did it. It took about 1.5 years to finalize the divorce. And in that time, I found footing as a whole new person. The foundation, basically, for the JR today. You might be wondering why you haven't seen these Facebook memories, why I haven't shared them. I decided not to, because it just doesn't seem like the place or the way I wanted to tell this story. And as for the reasons the marriage didn't work, that's not for this show either. Maybe another show, maybe another time. I really don't enjoy thinking about that time period leading up to making those decisions, much less talking about it. However, I am proud of the decision that I made 10 years ago and the life that I have led since then. And man, it's just, it kind of chokes me up to think about having had to do that and actually doing it. It was a much harder decision to end the marriage than it was to begin a marriage. When it was time to propose to my ex and to get married, it was the easiest decision in the world. All I could see at that point was a wonderful life together. And as that deteriorated, the vision of the future became so murky, so gray, and it was depressing for a lot of years. And I just couldn't see a way out until I did. And that was 10 years ago. And I'm just wanted you to know that that's where my head's at right now. Even with all of these Facebook memories, I don't sit and dwell on that past. I simply live for the now. I continue to seize the day every day. Carpe diem has been a life motto for me basically ever since I saw Dead Poets Society as a kid. So that's where I'm at now. All right, I need to stop. Moving on to thing number two. Kiki and I went to New York City again, and I just want to tell you about it. We saw 4 shows when we were there. We literally got back last night. Here's the shows. Spam-A-Lot. We have finally seen Spam-A-Lot, and it is funnier than it should even be allowed to be. It is nonstop hilarious. If you are familiar with Monty Python, especially if you've seen the movie The Monty Python and the Holy Grail, there's tons of jokes for you, but you don't have to have seen that to laugh hysterically the entire time. Kiki's never seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and both of us couldn't stop laughing the entire time. The performances were great. It's hard to explain how funny this show is. And of the 4 shows we saw, it is certainly at the top of my list. I believe Kiki's in the same on this. It was our favorite of the 4 shows that we saw, and probably the favorite that we've seen in a long time. So go see Spam-A-Lot. It's not going to be around much longer. You got a few more months before it closes. Don't miss it. Next, we saw Merrily We Roll Along. You may have heard of this one. It's gotten some press lately. It does star Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, as well as Jonathan Groff, who was the King George, who I now know is King George in Hamilton. And we did sit in second row with no seats in front of us. It was awesome. We had plenty of leg room. It was basically like sitting in the front row. And we were close enough to get spit on by Jonathan Groff, but we were a little off center. He spits so much. If you've seen the video of him as King George in Hamilton, if you haven't, go check it out. It's on Disney+. But at several points when he's singing, saliva is just flying out of his mouth. And that's not just in that show, in that performance. That's how he sings. And we were off to the side, and he's in center stage, and the way the lighting was, it was very easy to see all of the spit flying out of his mouth. And we didn't get any on us, but if we had been sitting center of the theater, we would have. It probably would have landed right on our face. And we would have loved it. Also, it was in the news this week while we were there that it has completely recouped the $12 million investment made into this revival of a failed Stephen Sondheim show from the 80s. This show, probably because of the excellent casting, the incredible theater it's in, the Hudson Theater, and the wonderful, it's just a great show. It finally has can be called a hit because it is profitable now, and it's only going to be around for a little while longer. You got a couple more months, but to see Merrily We Roll Along, and so I suggest you don't miss that one either. And we were happy to be a part of making that show a hit. Those tickets were not cheap. Speaking of cheap tickets, though, we did see two shows where we got rush tickets. Went to the box office and got like $50 tickets day of. Those two shows, one was Water for Elephants, which is a book that Kiki has read. She has not read many books, but she is quite happy to tell you that this is a book she read cover to cover, all the words, and was very much looking forward to this. So was I. It promised to be quite the show. It takes place in a circus. There are acrobats and crazy stunts. So much so that you almost can't help but fear for their lives with almost every stunt. People are climbing up. They're standing 3 people tall at one point. There's a guy hanging by like a drapery who he's just holding himself up there by his neck and swinging out over the audience and stuff. It will not surprise me at all when there's some sort of an injury on this show. But at the same time, They freaking nailed it. Like, they did this stuff like they do it every day, which they are doing it every day, sometimes twice a day. We got to see technically the last preview of the show. Preview is basically the practice performances with paid audiences leading up to a show's opening. The night we saw it was the last one of those, which means we're basically doing the show as it would be on opening night the next night. They might have had some notes. This is where the directors and stuff can still give them notes and tweak the show to its final form. And that's basically what we got to see. Highly recommend it. Water for Elephants. It was crazy good. And the last show we went to, very different from everything else. The show was called Days of Wine and Roses, and it stars Brian Darcy James, who I love from the original Nick Bottom in Something Rotten, as well as Kelly O'Hara, who is on The Gilded Age, who I believe she plays Audra Fane or something like that in the show The Gilded Age on HBO. So we knew both of those actors, kind of a big deal, and it was in a theater that used to be the Studio 54, but is now a Broadway theater house. And this show, I would describe it as tragically good. And it's the story of a couple of alcoholics going through their lives. And it was Brian Darcy James basically. Almost all of his dialogue, at least in the first part of the show, is sung, and they do this where it's not like a normal song, right? It's not a catchy tune. It's not a Broadway hit. It's a lot of singing while the other actors are not singing. They're just talking, just delivering their dialogue as an actor, not as a singer. But he's singing the entire time, and he is so good at doing that. And at no point did I ever think to myself, I could do that. Because there's just no way I could do what he did. The control he had was just awesome. There was a child in the show. They have a 7-year-old daughter in the show, and I don't know how old the kid was, but she was freaking incredible. She held her own, singing amongst greats. And there was the rest of the cast, but they were bit parts. They didn't have a ton to do. It was really all about the main guy, the main woman, and their daughter. And I mean, they were just incredible. So those are the 4 shows we saw. Had a wonderful time in New York City. And let me just take this moment to say, if you don't think you like musicals, as I didn't years ago, give one a try. If you think you might give one a try, can I please recommend Spam-A-Lot? Spam-A-Lot or Water for Elephants. I would put those 2 at the top of the list. If you see those shows and you still don't like musicals, all right, then I don't know what's wrong with you, but you must not like them. Okay. Thing 3.
Thing number 3.
You ever heard of dude wipes? I've heard of them. I've seen them. I've seen them on the shelves at Walmart in the toilet paper section. I remember seeing them in my dad's bathroom out in Iowa. I've seen them. I've heard of them. My impression was that basically they're like baby wipes for adults, specifically marketed towards men. And I remember for years, Howard Stern, I've listened to him for so long. He often talked about his bathroom habits, you know, as one does when you have a $500 million radio show. You talk about taking a shit and how to make sure you're clean afterwards. And Howard Stern often talks about how he uses baby wipes. I never jumped on board to this idea. To me, it just seemed like toilet paper got the job done. I will have to say, I feel like less and less as time goes by that toilet paper gets the job done. I often find that there are remnants that I wish weren't there long after I'm done, and that's unfortunate. So it was interesting. I was visiting my friend Darren up in Northern Virginia a couple weeks ago, and it came time for me to go take a number 2. And he said, dude, use my bathroom, and the dude wipes are in the drawer next to the toilet if you want to use them. I just said, okay. I didn't tell him I've never used those before. I don't know how I feel about that. I just went to the bathroom. And as I was sitting there doing my business, I got to thinking about those dude wipes. And I thought, you know what? Why not? Why not give it a try? And so they're not there to completely replace toilet paper. At least I don't use them in place of toilet paper. I use them after I'm done with the toilet paper. And so this was my first experience at it. And since then, I have purchased multiple packages of dude wipes. I keep one at work. I keep one at home. And I even bought the little box of the little the ones you carry around with you in a sealed little package about the size of a condom. So you can keep it in your wallet and keep it with you so you have it when you need one. And so since I have begun using them, I am happy to report that dingleberry retention is significantly down this week. Dude wipes are kind of like a real version of that fake Saturday Night Live product from their fake commercial on SNL called Ass Don't Smell.
Ass don't smell.
Maybe somebody's trying to tell me something.
Scrubbing doesn't work. Perfume's only cover it up. And who has the time to soak? Forget all that junk and step up to Ass Don't Smell.
Hey, Bob, congratulations on the Civic Center project.
Oh, thanks.
Huh? Ass don't smell. But your ass doesn't smell.
Exactly.
Ass Don't Smell. The name says it all. Now in new tamper-proof package.
So, dude wipes. I'm a fan, and I probably will continue using them for a while because they just put a nice finishing touch on the whole job, and I'm happy. I'm happy with the results. So there you go. All right, that's it. That's the show. 3 Things with JR. We're at season 5. This is 143 episodes for those keeping count at home. If you're still listening, thank you so much. If you haven't already, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, What Is It About You? While in New York this week, I did spend some time interviewing some very colorful people for my YouTube channel. And literally, when I'm done with this podcast, I am going to go start editing those down. And there will be one posted on Wednesday this week. That's the day after this podcast drops, a new What Is It About You video from New York City. You will not be disappointed. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe both to the podcast and the YouTube channel. Tell your friends about it. Help me grow this stuff. I couldn't appreciate it more. I love you all. Thanks for listening. I am over and out. See you next week on Small Things Considered. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace out. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new day.
No, we won't think noble because we're not noble. We won't live in beautiful harmony because there's no such thing in this world, nor should there be. We promise only to do our best and live out our lives. Dear God, that's all we can promise in truth. Marry me, Cunegonde.
You've been a fool, and so have I. But come and be my wife, and let us try before we die to make some sense of life. We're neither pure nor wise nor good. We'll do the best we know. We'll build our house and chop our wood and make our garden grow and make our garden